Did you know that apartments in Calgary actually increased by $3,000 from the previous month? Now, if you look at that increase, it shot right back to the July and August prices. Now, the real question is, did every quadrant see an increase, or are there still decreases happening around Calgary? Let's go check it out. Hi, my name's Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. If you're looking to make a game plan for 2023, go ahead and click the very first link in the description and book a call. Okay, so here are the numbers for condo apartments for the month of January. Now, this is the full year-to-date stats package, and we'll start off by looking at the benchmark price for January, and it's actually sharply increased from December. From a quick glance, you would think that that's pretty awesome, but if you actually look back a little bit further, you can see that the price has really shot back to the average levels that we saw between June and November. Now, it is great that condos are holding strong. Now, condos have been one of the most stable sectors here in Calgary when you look at the price point. Sales in the sector are a bit lower, only about 318, similar to last January. New listings hop right back up to September and October levels, and inventory is also shot back to, early winter levels as well. Even with those increases, you can see that the days on market has actually decreased to 40 days, which means condos are selling a little bit quicker than what they have been over the past 4 months. Condos have been really good to actually talk on about this past year, as they've really held their ground in terms of price. Affordable product here in Calgary really has been the main highlight for many news outlets, and this is a great testament to that. But as usual, to get the full picture, we really do need to break it down into price point and locations. But before we do that, this graph here visualizes what's going on with Calgary as a whole all throughout Calgary. And you can see that condos have held strong even with the increase in interest rates. If you look on the right side, you can see in red the price point. Now, Calgary has stayed within around a $5,000 fluctuation since May of last year. So in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that much. So you could say that prices have been relatively flat. Now, from this chart, you can see just how much inventory has fallen over the last 6 months. Now, while sales have fallen, they have fairly stayed consistent. Now, it will be very cool to watch this chart grow all throughout 2023. Now, I do not anticipate price reductions in the condo market, but there are many economic factors that need to be considered. But with all that being said, right now, things are looking great for condos in terms of price stabilization. Next, let's take a peek at each individual quadrant of Calgary. Now, this is our first step into finding out how this report can better relate to your personal situation. From here, you would look at a few neighboring sales to get the full picture and utilize this data to your advantage when stepping into the condo market. Now, right now, it's very hot, especially for the 68 buildings that I currently follow with the Airbnb units. Now, those units are getting eaten up pretty fast and typically going near or over asking price. So with that being said, starting from the left, you can see the sales to new listing ratio is a bit low. Just like detached homes, I would assume that this is because many of the new listings came on the market near the end of the month, and they're either pending or simply have not had enough time to sell. Now, next month, we should see a bump in all of those percentages. Inventory is quite low from what we saw in 2022, but that should increase as we get into the warmer weather. Months of supply is or pretty close to 2.5 months. Now, these quadrants here have the most demand, whereas City Center is in a nicely balanced market. Being 3.2 months of supply, the price should stay relatively flat. Of course, people can offer a little higher on units as the demand increases, but right now there looks like there's a lot of options for buyers to choose from. Now, here are your price points for every quadrant. And here are your year-over-year increases. Northeast still seeing a 21% increase. Even the month-over-month stat for Northeast is at 4.83%. So a lot of demand in the Northeast currently. When looking at the month-over-month as a whole, you can see that 1.02% increase, which really isn't much considering the price point is quite low. No quadrant saw a decrease from last month, which answers my very first question, but every month has in fact increased in price. Lastly, let's try and power through a couple of graphs just to continue to paint that picture for condos here in Calgary. And first, let's take a peek at total sales by price point. Now, this will showcase which price points are currently in demand. And this is just a highlight with not much context about the location. But you can see that the $200,000 price point is the most popular, where sub $200,000 and the $300,000 price point follow suit. Now, this is a year-to-date graph, and you can see that last year we had about 20 more sales in the $200,000 price range. not really that much, but you can really start to see the shift for more expensive units even in this first month of the year. Now, next is the new listings historical average. You can see we're right on par with the average for January, maybe a little bit less, but not by much. There is a lot of demand right now, and it will be interesting to see just how sales increase in 2023. Now, talking about the sales, you can see that the average listings have relatively stayed the same, but the sales themselves have actually increased to 2014 levels. So you can assume that prices will continue to stabilize or potentially increase in 2023. Next is the price change percentages. You can see that in 2018, 19, and 2020 were all depressing years, under 0%, whereas 2021 and 2022 had massive growth. Calgary condos definitely struggled after the 2014 oil crash, and I'm very happy to see prices going back up to the 2007 and 2008 price points. Funny enough, we're not quite back to the 2014 levels that we saw, so stay in store for that. So with that being said, there is a lot in store for 2023, and there's even more to consider. We have a provincial election this spring, which can easily sway our market into more growth or rapid decline. We have great net migration, new corporations moving here, and a lot of increased investment in places like our infrastructure and event centers. My job is to break down the numbers from previous months while trying to share my thoughts on what is to come, and that can be very difficult to do. So if you like what you see, please consider subscribing and staying in touch. Personally, I believe that Calgary will have yet another busy year ahead. Now, if you want to dive into your 2023 strategy, please go ahead and book a call. Make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to this high quality insight. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace.